Greetings. I wanted to cover 5 things that Atlanta seemed to miss about their team that was really obvious during the Super Bowl. The first item is that um, there's a guy named Julio Jones on their team, and they think he's a wide receiver, but he's what's called a playmaker. So when you have a playmaker that's 6'3", 220, he's almost the size of a linebacker. So it was smart of the Patriots to pull him out of the game with double coverage. But if you bring him out of the backfield with the ball in his hand, he it facilitates him doing a lot more damage. The second thing that Atlanta missed was the fact that even if they were holding players and getting called for it, it was allowing more time to light Brady up before he threw, which resulted in him hearing footsteps prior to throwing, even when he did have open throws. The third item I was surprised by was um, moving from tactics to get big plays um, was a really bad idea because when you don't have ball possession, you end up straining your defense on the field for large periods of time. And against one of the best quarterbacks of all time, the more time you put him on the field, the better the chance he'll score. So I was very surprised at the non-efforts made to operate in a ball control approach, especially with a large lead in hand. Um, the argument is valid that you could make that, hey, this is what we did all year, but um, it wasn't all year that you ended up with a 28-3 lead. So it's called milk the clock and give your defense a breather because leaving them on for most of the game just means they get totally destroyed. Um, the the fourth thing that I was amazed by was flexibility to logical play. Everybody's covered the fact that they could have run 3 running plays and kicked a field goal and put the game on ice. Instead, they elected to try to throw long passes and ended up with holding calls and other issues that pulled them out of field goal range. This was extremely dumb in my mind because the same thing had happened earlier in the game with the same player, number 70, costing them a first down or a critical first down that would have put them in field goal range and even made the lead bigger than it was. So the challenge is that when you get into big games, I had done another post where I talked about the decision making that the head coach would have to make, and the fact that by him doing conventional wisdom, he was going to protect what conventional thinking might be, but would also end up costing the game because when you're in a situation like the Super Bowl and you're up that many points, yeah, you want to keep throwing the ball down the field and try to get huge leads, but a conservative approach would not have been a bad idea to protect the lead you had already, as well as pull time off the clock by moving slowly down the field. Um, Hats off to the Patriots because I anticipated that their experience and winning reputation would give them decision-making flexibility that Atlanta did not have. And you could see in the decisions made by Atlanta, you couldn't argue with what they were attempting to do, but in reality, um, they should have whipped out a completely different playbook for ball control after they took such a large lead, and that's one of the reasons why I ended up losing. The final note is, just like with Julio Jones noting who he is, when you look at Matt Ryan, yes, they posted terrific numbers this year, and usually against inferior competition. The reality is that Matt Ryan is a good, not great quarterback. So if you put him in a great performance needed situation, you could end up with him totally screwing up the situation, which is exactly what he did. So if you know who and what your players are, you know the situations you want to put them in, stick to what your knitting is and know, rather than trying to move into zones that you're not competent in, which is what Atlanta did. The nucleus of the team is still there, so Atlanta can still make the run again pretty far. Um, I'm just wondering if the coaching staff, particularly the offensive coordinator, will institute policies that reflect just smart general deployment of their best people.